Today, we're gonna talk about the notorious, the one and only, Liver King.
Liver is king.
Hello, welcome to a new video. My name is Christian Poulos, if you do not know me. I'm a fourth year medical student, planning on going into physical medicine and rehabilitation, and I decided to make YouTube videos for fun. So in this video, I wanted to go over a little bit about his 9 ancestral tenets, and I want to debunk them or promote them or say what he's doing well, what he's not. So first off, I just want to say that Liver King seems like a really good guy. If you watched his podcast with Jake Paul, seems pretty genuine, wants the best for his family, wants to promote a good message. So I think he's doing something good by just being a genuine person on social media. But you do want to take everything he says with a grain of salt. He does have a supplement company. He probably makes a good amount of money promoting these things, and he's clearly the king of marketing. Everyone talks about him, everyone knows who he is. Shoot, even a doctor at the hospital was telling me about Liver King. All right, so we are on Liver King's website, and first tenet we're gonna talk about is sleep. When it's time for the body and brain to detox, recover, rebuild, and restore. He's got this right. One of the main things that Liver King seems to talk about is reducing blue light and wearing blue light glasses potentially. I don't even know if he says that. I think I might be making that up.
And then put on a pair of blue light blocking glasses.
There's proof that blue light is bad for you, especially if you have some blue light at night. If you're on your phone or your computer, you're gonna have less melatonin release at night. So you're gonna have trouble falling asleep. And that's one of the main things sleep hygiene that people always talk about is getting rid of blue light. So Liver King is onto something with that one, and I definitely agree. Liver King also talks about getting some sunlight right when you wake up in the morning, and this is kind of gonna set your circadian rhythm so you have a good sleep and wake cycle. And I think I agree with this one as well. Some of you may listen to Andrew Huberman, who's a prominent neuroscientist that talks about optimizing your life and living the best life. And he thinks the same thing as well. Whenever I wake up in the morning, I just crank on all the lights in the bathroom while I'm groggily brushing my teeth, and it definitely helps. So I'm sure sunlight will react the same way. One other thing that Liver King says that's really good is to finish your last meal around 3 or 4 hours before bed. I find this helps immensely with the quality of your sleep. When you go to sleep super full, I remember one time when I was young, I had a big burrito with my friends in high school, and then I went to sleep right after because I had to do something in the morning. I slept terrible. Who eats a burrito right before bed? Probably not Liver King.
Liver King is not eating that for dinner.
I definitely think that stopping your last meal a few hours before bedtime is a good thing and it's gonna improve your quality of sleep. So one thing that Liver King says on here on his sleep part is that to improve your sleep, you should use grounding sheets, go on barefoot hikes, use an EMF meter to make sure there are no electrical fields around the bed, turn off the Wi-Fi at night, put your phone in airplane mode. So basically kind of getting that electromagnetic radiation and frequencies away from you when there's no proof that these are actually bad for you, that they cause any harm. So it's all speculation, and he's kind of just tying this all into his ancestral living type thing, which I understand, but there's really no proof on that. So there's no point really. Liver King also says that you should sleep on the floor like our tribes do. Why? Because our bodies were never meant to be in a cast, courtesy of your bed all night. So wise, Liver King. Thank you for saying that. I don't think this is very valid. I think that the human species have evolved to have comfort and be comfortable in certain things of your life. Am I gonna go sleep on the floor and probably wake up with neck cramps? Probably. Is it making Liver King's back and neck super jacked? Maybe. But I think I'd prefer to sleep in comfort. This is kind of a preference thing. I don't think there's any benefit to sleeping on the floor or grounding yourself. Stiffer mattresses do work well and a little bit better for more muscular people is what I find. People with more heavy set builds. It improves your shoulder positioning and hip positioning a little bit, but I think floor and a hard board that he's shown in some of his videos is taking it a little too far. All right, so number 2, his next tenet is eat. Liver King loves liver. Liver is king, he tells you. Honestly, I agree. Liver is probably the most one of the most nutrient dense foods. I hate it though. I think it tastes disgusting. My dad would always eat it every few weeks growing up on a Sunday lunch after church or something. I just could not do it. It tasted not good. Can't imagine what it tastes like raw. But liver is king, like I said, super high nutrient density. You get a ton of vitamin A, a bunch of different nutrients in it. However, if you do eat a lot of it, which I'm sure he doesn't because he only eats a few ounces with his meals, but you do risk getting too much vitamin A. And getting too much vitamin A is definitely not a good thing. So on his website, Liver King says that if you want to start, you should start by dropping processed foods, seed oils, liquid calories, and start incorporating whole foods like liver, bone marrow, heart, bone broth, and mTOR-rich foods like raw pasteurized eggs. So I definitely agree with dropping processed foods, maybe seed oils, questionable though, and liquid calories in favor for whole foods. There's a lot of preservatives in like these foods that we eat nowadays that you don't know what it's really doing in your body. it's causing inflammation or affecting your gut microbiome. There's just research that we don't have, so it's kind of up in the air. So I definitely think focusing more on a whole food diet is the way to go. So I'd actually be really curious to see Liver King's like lipid panel and like his just blood work. I don't think he does that. I don't know, my ancestors didn't get blood work done, so he's probably just doing whatever he wants. But in the day, he says he eats 6 eggs, protein shake with Mountain Valley spring water, interesting, and just like a bunch of meat, creatine, almond butter, ghee, raw liver, bone marrow, and just a bunch of steak and meat and stuff. So yeah, so I'd be curious to see, like, I bet his cholesterol and triglycerides aren't too great. He is also very large, so I'm sure holding that much body weight isn't that great on a 40-something-year-old guy, but I may be wrong. One thing I do want to touch about on this raw meat is that it is risky. If you don't know where you're getting your meat, or if you are improperly storing it, or it's like lower quality meat, you know, something you may get off like the grocery store, or like, you know, scraps from a butcher, something that's been left out for too long, you are at risk of so many diseases. You get E. coli, salmonella, so many different types of food poisoning, Staph aureus. Even worse, you could escalate it to get to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is just a prion disease. So basically you just get like rapidly progressive dementia, poor concentration, poor memory, and this happens quickly over the course of a few months. You don't have any like lab tests that show anything unless you do some specific like tests of the brain. You get something called myoclonus, which is you just get like random jerks. So it's gonna kill you. You can't really do much about it. I think the cost benefit of having raw meat versus cooked meat when there's like diseases like Creutzfeldt-Jakob or just random like bugs you can get, I don't think it's quite worth it. So one other thing that I want to point out, and it's seed oils. I think there's kind of some hypocrisy going on with seed oils. Seed oils have a lot of saturated fat. People who promote this carnivore diet, like ancestral eating with a lot of like meat and saturated fat, they say that saturated fat is unfairly demonized in like epidemiological studies. But at the same time, they say that seed oils, which have a lot of fat, have been shown to be bad for you in epidemiological studies. So I think it's kind of like saturated fat, seed oils, bad for you, but saturated fat from other things are not bad for you. So like I said, I'm not too familiar on the subject. I'd like to research a little bit more because I know Carnivore MD or Paul Saladino also talks about the same thing. So we gotta do some more research there. So the third ancestral tenet that I'm just gonna go over really quickly is MOVE, which basically just talks about exercise and resistance training and training heavy, going for walks after meals, which are all things that I agree with. I think going for walks after meals or like right in the morning is good for your hormone profile, helps with your insulin levels and glucose levels. Training is, dude, if you watch me at this point, you should know why exercise is good. My whole like motto is movement is medicine. Get up, get exercising, go for a walk, just do something. And Liver King talks about that too. I think the way he trains is pretty interesting and like exciting and motivating. So I don't see why we can't like follow him for that. One thing I think that's pretty interesting though is like his simulated hunts. And I don't know if he does this because he's like, you know, the Liver King character, or he actually like goes on hunts. Like I think I saw some video of him like chasing a chicken. I thought that was like funny. I don't know if it's like because of his character or he's actually doing this, but I mean, you do you, Liver King. All right, so the fourth ancestral tenet that Liver King likes to talk about is called SHIELD. And so on his website, the good old Liver King says we need to avoid dangers like our early ancestors did. But instead of running from lions, nowadays we run from seed oils, Wi-Fi, EMFs, and man-made poisons. Essentially because they disrupt our hormones, metabolism, and ability to get sleep. For example, he says, turn off your Wi-Fi at night and stop wearing perfume. These things just haven't really been studied, and they're relatively new as well, so you can't really say conclusively either way that Wi-Fi is destroying your brain or any of these like things, like by your bed, for example, is really doing anything. So, I mean, he's stretching the truth. It may not be true, may be true. More research needs to be done, pretty much. However, a lot of it's just like unavoidable. Like, what are you gonna do? I think it's pretty unreasonable to like kind of distance yourself from all these things. There's literally satellites literally every single where all across the sky, pointing rays directly at you. If you're like in the middle of a forest, sure, you may not be getting as much where you have like no cell service, but these things are all around you every day. And I think the little Wi-Fi behind my like TV here is gonna do too much when there's stuff around us all day. It's kind of like taking like a cup out of the ocean and like discarding it, trying to empty the ocean. It just doesn't work that way. Liver King's fifth tenet is pretty interesting. It's called connect. And this is where he talks about getting like, lady, it's the male woman, it's okay. So Liver King's fifth tenet is called connect. And this is basically where he talks about going barefoot outside, just walking with your bare feet. Says it's good for you. Will decrease your blood pressure. What else does he say? Says it's anti-inflammatory, connects you with the earth you are on. It's for the greater good. It says improve sleep, stress reduction, muscle recovery, pain management. I'm not sure if walking barefoot really does anything. I kind of don't really want like a rock on my foot or like a splinter. I do like walking barefoot, but I don't see how this is like anti-inflammatory. I don't think like there's been studies done to show that our ancestors who walked barefoot like had any better health outcomes or anything. I'm not totally gonna knock this one though, because I do think that walking on your feet barefoot outside is pretty cool. I like it. It makes you feel like, I don't know, one with the earth, as weird as that sounds. So, Liver King, you do you. I might walk barefoot here and there. It's pretty cool, pretty fun. Nice getting some dirt between my toes, like on the beach on the sand. But I don't think there's any like value to it really. All right, number 6, get cold. This one is one that I think I agree with for a few reasons. I think there have been some studies that like cold exposure is good for circulation. It probably improves mood as well. And I think getting cold and like doing ice baths or cold showers is good because it trains you to do hard things. And so one of the mottos that I say it sometimes on Instagram is like, if you do hard things all day, your life in general will be easy. But if you do easy things all day, then the rest of your life will be hard. So like waking up in the morning, jumping into a freezing cold shower is probably gonna be the hardest thing you do. Like might be one of the harder things you do all day, being able to sit just in the cold and wash yourself for several minutes. And I think that kind of trains your body to do things that are uncomfortable, and it's for the greater good, pushes you to take risks, take action, and actually do things and make something of yourself. So I think I like this idea. It's kind of similar to like weight training, and like, I don't know, if you go to the gym in the morning and you squat 500 pounds, like, you know, going into a meeting or having a presentation later is nothing. You just had 500 pounds on your back. So kind of similar concept there. So good stuff, Liver King. All right, so tenet number 7, Liver King likes to talk about sun and how you should get more sunlight. It's good for building vitamin D, good for your bone health, good for your mood, which are all things that I agree with. It's great for producing vitamin D. Every time I'm in the sun, I just feel like a boost of my mood. So I definitely think you should get some sun. One thing that I think he's a little bit sketchy about is, I think he promotes on his Instagram like not using sunscreen. He says he protects his skin through his diet and using anti-inflammatory foods. And if he like feels like he's starting to get a little burnt, he just puts a shirt on, goes in the shade. Sure, whatever, I understand that. So there have been some reports that benzene, which is a ingredient in like a lot of sunscreens, is a potential carcinogen, particularly on like the spray ones. I was using a spray one on like a vacation I went on a few months ago. Everyone was messaging me like, you're gonna get cancer. I think more research needs to be done on that. A good safe bet is to use sunscreens that primarily have zinc oxide as the main ingredient, because there's like different types of sunscreens. There's the ones like, you could like put them on you and then they like absorb into your skin and like protect you from the radiation. And then the ones that are zinc oxide based just form like a coating on top of your skin, so you just don't get any of the radiation in the first place. So more research needs to be done on that. I'm not too familiar on like the different types of sunscreen, but I do know that dermatologists will tell you to wear sunscreen and to not try to get it through your diet. And I like to trust people who have devoted a very long time to studying this rather than someone who just likes to eat raw meat. I don't know, that doesn't discredit him though. And so the 8th tenet the Liver King likes to promote is called struggle. And I think this one just has to do with, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, just do hard things, challenge yourself. Get dopamine, which is like the reward chemical and motivation chemical in your brain. Get it through things that are actually good, like train hard, work towards something, like fight for something. I guess our families and ancestors in the past did have to fight for their lives. That was like a very normal thing to them. So I think in our society, we're just kind of over flooded with other things that like give us dopamine, like drugs, alcohol, tobacco, like cigarettes, vaping, like porn, what else? Like just mindlessly scrolling through social media. We just get our quick dopamine fix and we don't do anything that's actually real dopamine, and it's something that we work towards. So I definitely agree with him that humans weren't meant to just like sit and be like complacent and just lavish and enjoying everything that society has given to them and has to offer. I think you have to work for some things. I think it builds character, builds like good personality. I don't know. Just work hard a little bit. And so the last tenet that Liver King talks about is bond. And that's just essentially bonding with your tribe, bonding with your family, bonding with your friends, forming close connections. So I think it's definitely very important to have like social connections, feel like you have a place of belonging in your community. It's gonna improve your like social functioning, it's gonna improve your mood. You're gonna have resources if you need help with anything. You're gonna have access to different outlets for like mental health or whatever. So I think it's very good to keep like a tight social circle, have people to talk to, have like a partner that supports you if you do decide to have one, or at the very least have friends that support you and like understand you and like listen to you. So what do I think about Liver King? I think he's a good person. I think he has some good messages. Some things he says are a little off. I don't think that you need to truly live the way your ancestors lived to live your best life. Some things that he says are definitely good for you, and our society has skewed. So I think overall, the whole entire like fitness and health industry focuses a little too much on like minutia. So we worry too much about like turning your Wi-Fi off, turning your phone off, like walking barefoot outside, eating liver, cutting out seed oils. A lot of these things are just minutia. We need to focus more on the big picture. You don't need to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight. Losing weight is going to improve your health outcomes tremendously, no matter what you do or how you do it. If you eat McDonald's all day, it'll still probably improve your health outcomes. You need to exercise. Resistance training is great. You do cardio or even low impact resistance training as well. It's going to improve your heart health, improve your it's going to improve your bone mineral density as well, improve your cognition and well-being. Just having a pretty decent diet and exercising in general will be the best. And so from there, you could delve a little bit deeper about eliminating processed foods, having more whole foods in your diet. I think that eating liver and the way Liver King eats raw meat is likely to be too expensive for most people. It's gonna be difficult to just eat like pounds of meat and like bone marrow each day. He's very lucky that he's able to do that. Abby, I'm like recording the video. I'm like set up. Yeah, that was on camera. So like I said, there's a lot of minutia. Just train hard, eat a pretty good diet, get enough sleep. That'll pretty much get you most of the way there. And then from there, once you have those three locked down, then you could delve a little bit deeper into the other things. But anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, I really appreciate it. Definitely leave a like and comment to let me know that you did enjoy it. Subscribe as well if you want to see some more videos. Let me know if you want to see any more topics or reviews on anyone in the fitness industry or in health. And if you're interested in coaching, make sure you fill out the link in my description for the application. And otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will catch you later.
I'm gonna take a huge bite out of these testicles.
It's been a long day.